Pricing a whole house audio system involves several key considerations. Firstly, consider materials. Secondly, consider labor. Thirdly, consider markup. Fourthly, consider industry benchmarks. For materials, you'll need speaker wire, CAT5 cable, volume controllers, speakers, a receiver, and a head end. For labor, you'll need to factor in installation time, termination, and testing. Allow for a reasonable profit margin when calculating your markup. Compare your pricing to similar services in your area to ensure competitiveness. Let's break down the materials cost. For speaker wire, a 1000-foot roll of 16/4 speaker wire typically costs between $120 and $150. A 1000-foot roll of CAT5 cable costs between $50 and $70. Russound CC-6.2 volume control keypads cost between $50 and $70 per unit. A pair of in-ceiling speakers can range from $100 to $200 per pair. A surround sound receiver typically costs between $250 and $500. A Russound MCAC2 multi-channel amplifier, which serves as the head end, can range from $400 to $600. Now let's consider labor costs. Installation labor typically runs between $50 and $100 per hour. Termination costs can range from $10 to $20 per connection. Testing can cost between $20 and $30 per system. Regarding markup, a common industry standard is a 50 to 100% markup on materials and labor. Here are some sample pricing scenarios. For 3 rooms with 2 speakers each, the materials cost might range from $600 to $850. The labor cost might range from $450 to $900. The total cost would then range from $1050 to $1750. For a family room with surround sound, the materials cost might range from $1050 to $1500. The labor cost might range from $600 to $1200. The total cost would then range from $1650 to $2700. The actual price may vary depending on the size of the house, the complexity of the installation, and the quality of the materials used. It's a good idea to offer a range of pricing options to accommodate different budgets. Consider including a maintenance agreement for ongoing support. It's also wise to get multiple quotes from other installers to ensure competitive pricing. The type of speaker wire being used will have an impact on audio quality. Consider the gauge or thickness of the wire. Low gauge numbers indicate thicker wire, which can carry signals more efficiently over longer distances. Also, consider the materials that the speaker wire is made of, such as copper or copper-clad aluminum. Copper is a better conductor of electricity than aluminum, but it is also more expensive. The type of CAT5 cable being used will have an impact on the network performance of the system. Consider the category of the cable, such as CAT5E or CAT6. CAT6 cable has better performance than CAT5E cable, but it is also more expensive. Also, consider whether the cable is shielded or unshielded. Shielded cable can help to reduce interference, but it is also more expensive. The volume control should be chosen based on the power handling requirements of the speakers. Make sure that the volume controls are rated for the appropriate power levels. Also, consider the style of the volume controls. Some volume controls are rotary knobs, while others are push buttons. The speakers should be chosen based on the size of the room and the desired sound quality. Consider the type of speaker, such as in-ceiling, in-wall, or bookshelf speakers. Also, consider the frequency response of the speakers. The frequency response is a measure of how well the speakers reproduce different frequencies of sound. The receiver should be chosen based on the number of channels that are needed and the desired features. Consider the power output of the receiver. The power output is a measure of how much power the receiver can deliver to the speakers. Also, consider the connectivity options of the receiver. The connectivity options include the number of HDMI inputs, the number of analog inputs, and the number of digital inputs. The head end should be chosen based on the number of zones that are needed and the desired features. Consider the power output of the head end. Also, consider the connectivity options of the head end. The complexity of the installation will also affect the labor costs. If the wiring is difficult to run, or if there are many obstacles to overcome, then the labor costs will be higher. The quality of the materials used will also affect the overall cost of the system. Higher quality materials will typically cost more, but they will also last longer and provide better performance. By considering all of these factors, it will be easier to develop a pricing strategy for whole house audio systems using Russound ABUS. A good starting point is to create a detailed bill of materials. List every item required for the installation, including the quantity and price of each item. Then, estimate the number of hours that it will take to complete the installation. Multiply the number of hours by the hourly labor rate to calculate the total labor cost. Add the materials cost and the labor cost together to get the total cost of the project. Finally, add a markup to the total cost to arrive at the final price. The markup should be sufficient to cover overhead costs and provide a reasonable profit margin. Industry standard markups for audio installations typically range from 50 to 100%. It is important to be competitive with pricing. Research what other installers in the area are charging for similar services. Also, be willing to negotiate with the customer on price. Offering a range of pricing options can help to close the deal. Consider offering a basic system with fewer features at a low price point. Also, consider offering a premium system with more features at a higher price point. Providing excellent customer service is essential. Be responsive to customer inquiries and provide prompt and professional service. This will help to build a strong reputation and attract repeat business. Offer a warranty on the installation. This will give the customer peace of mind and show that confident in the quality of work. A warranty typically covers parts and labor for a specified period of time. Stay up to date on the latest trends and technologies in the audio industry. This will enable to offer customers the best possible solutions. Attend industry trade shows and read industry publications to stay informed. Consider offering financing options to customers. This can make it easier for them to afford the system that they want. There are a number of companies that specialize in providing financing for home improvement projects. By following these steps, it will be easy to price whole house audio systems effectively and profitably. Remember to factor in all costs, be competitive with pricing, provide excellent customer service, and stay up to date on the latest trends and technologies. Some other factors to consider include the brand of the components. Higher-end brands typically command a higher price. The complexity of the system design. More complex systems will typically require more labor to install. The location of the home. Homes in affluent areas may be able to command higher prices. The time of year. Demand for audio installations may be higher during certain times of the year, such as the holidays. The overall state of the economy. During economic downturns, customers may be more price sensitive. The type of music that the customer listens to. Some types of music, such as classical music, may require higher quality components. The size of the rooms. Larger rooms may require more powerful speakers and amplifiers. The acoustics of the rooms. Rooms with poor acoustics may require additional sound treatment. The customer's budget. It is important to work within the customer's budget to create a system that meets their needs and expectations. It is always a good idea to get a signed contract with the customer before starting any work. The contract should outline the scope of the work, the materials to be used, the price, and the payment terms. The contract should also include a clause that protects from liability in case of any accidents or injuries. It is also important to have insurance coverage in case of any accidents or injuries. General liability insurance will protect from liability in case of any accidents or injuries that occur on the property. Workers' compensation insurance will protect employees in case of any accidents or injuries that occur on the job. Pricing a Russound ABUS system also hinges on understanding its core components and functionalities. The ABUS system, or advanced bus, is a distributed audio system that allows for multiple zones of audio to be controlled from a central location. This involves a head unit like the MCAC2, which distributes the audio signals to various zones. Volume controls, like the CC-6.2, are installed in each zone to allow users to adjust the volume locally. Speakers are connected to the volume controls, delivering the audio to the listening area. The CAT5 cable is used to transmit control signals between the head unit and the volume controls. When calculating the bill of materials, ensure to include all necessary accessories such as speaker connectors, wall plates for the volume controls, and any mounting hardware for the speakers and head unit. Also, factor in the cost of any specialized tools that may be needed for the installation, such as wire strippers, crimpers, and multimeters. When estimating labor costs, consider the time it will take to run the wires, install the volume controls, mount the speakers, and connect all of the components. Also, factor in the time it will take to program the system and test it to ensure that it is working properly. The amount of time it takes to install a whole house audio system will vary depending on the size of the house, the complexity of the system, and the experience of the installer. However, a typical installation will take between 1 and 3 days. It is important to be realistic about the amount of time that it will take to complete the installation. It is better to overestimate the time than to underestimate it. This will help to avoid any delays or cost overruns. When determining the markup, it is important to consider the risks involved in the project. There is always a risk that something could go wrong during the installation, such as damaging the walls or ceilings. There is also a risk that the customer will not be satisfied with the final result. A higher markup will help to cover these risks. It is also important to consider the competition. If there are many other installers in the area, then it may be necessary to lower the markup to be competitive. However, it is important not to lower the markup too much, as this could make it difficult to make a profit. When presenting the pricing to the customer, it is important to be clear and concise. Explain the scope of the work, the materials to be used, and the price. Be prepared to answer any questions that the customer may have. It is also important to be professional and courteous. This will help to build trust with the customer and increase the chances of getting the job. Remember that the goal is to provide the customer with a high-quality audio system that meets their needs and expectations. By following these tips, it will be easier to price whole house audio systems effectively and profitably.